Okay, good evening everybody, and welcome to stage 9 of the Tour du Monde. Tour du Monde, what am I thinking? I've got that on the brain. That starts in January, folks, my apologies. The Tour du Alpes, of course. 9th stage, so penultimate stage of 10, and been an exciting day already. I'll go into what happened in the earlier running a bit later in the broadcast, in the news broadcast. But I'm sure the first part of the news should be who won the prize, because that's what people are interested in, the prizes. So let's head over to the spinning wheel and the live draw and see if we can find out who won yesterday's prize, which was donated by Tom Cycle Clothing, I believe. Anyway, I'm going to try and pull it up on screen. Let's hope there are no glitches or gremlins happening tonight. And here we go. We'll transition this across for you. Yay! It looks like we might be live here. Let's give that a go. I'm just waiting for it to update on my... Yep, there we go. So, if we press the play button, we should find out who won the prize draw. Here's the wheel. And there we go. Who is it going to stop on today? Goes down. Is that John Beams? It is. It's John Beams. Okay. Well, he's not only leading the tour, but he's now won a prize from one of our sponsors, Tom Cycle Clothing. So well done, John. I'm sure that's going to put a smile on your face prior to tonight's stage. So let's close this down and get back to the news. Just one moment, folks. There we go. Let's transition back across. We'll get back to the newsroom. Okay. So, like I say, it's been a pretty busy day. With the action happening at the lunchtime slot of the tour. And I'm just going to now see if we can't pull up the results for you from the lunchtime slot. So once again, I'm going to use the website links. Just bear with me a moment. Yeah, that should bring us up. Let's see. That does. So transition that across as well. And in a moment, you should now be seeing the live results on screen. Now, the first thing to mention here is that the person showed in first place is disqualified. Albert Gallagher is a known, well, he's either a cheater or he's a rider that doesn't care, that is not being verified, or that his performances are in the pro level bracket. So until he comes forward and demonstrates that he's either a pro rider or a pro level rider, or he shows any kind of verification, then he's going to be discounted from results. He put in a performance the other day which was over 5 watt kilos for the full duration of the event, which was about an hour. And you know, you don't get amateurs putting in that kind of performance unless they're an ex-pro. So anyway, enough about Mr. Gallagher. So basically, Francos Iker took the win with a 1:08.42, which is a pretty good time given that it's 27 kilometer in length, is stage 9. With about 1,000, I'm going to bring the graphic up in a minute, but I think it's 1,124 meters of climbing. So it's a tough old stage today. It looks like, you know, Paul Nicholls and his tour making is really testing the riders. towards the end. I don't know what Friday's tour is going to bring, but tonight's looks like another hard stage. So that's what we're going to do next. We're going to go to the, or I mentioned here before I leave this screen, you can see that Daniel Cadiz, he was racing later in the day. So he's actually sent me a message to say that he wasn't giving it absolutely everything in this stage. He was sort of like holding back. And I think it's true to say that we'll see the gap go out beyond all recognition when John comes online for the event later in about 20 minutes, I think, give or take. So as I say, we'll put that down away and transition across again. There we go. I'm back to the newsroom. Okay, so what else have we got in the news? Well, let's have a quick look. Now that we've seen that Francos Ica took the stage, let's have a look at exactly what it was they were up and doing. This is should be showing on screen very shortly for you folks. This is stage 9, and you can see that it starts off relatively flat, if you can call anything that's happened in this tour flat. For about maybe a quarter of the distance, a third of the distance, if you want to be finicky. And then it's climbing all the way to the finish, and there are some really steep sections on the way to the top of this mountain. So it's going to be another test. Although it says average grade 4%, what you have to realize, folks, is it's down to 4% purely and simply because of that first 33 1/3% getting to the bottom of the climb. Once the climbing starts, it's definitely not 4%. So it should be fun. I really like, I mean, I know I make fun of him, our friend Paul Nichols, but he's done a wonderful job. And what stands out for me with this tour is it's definitely head and shoulders above anything else we've seen on the hard GT in terms of level of difficulty. I mean, the Tour du Monde, which I've got in my brain and fixated with, that was hard enough. But this has been another level. I mean, there hasn't been an easy day on this. Even the 10-kilometer day that we had turned into a time trial. So it's been a pretty tough tour, and I think the riders are getting ready for tomorrow's stage and getting a weekend's rest, because it's been brutal. And it's almost over now. John Beams, which we're going to go and look at the GC in a minute, but I think he's got about a 10-minute lead at the moment, and that's before tonight. And there's no doubt in my mind he's going to pick up time tonight, unless he has a mechanical or some other disaster. So we'll see what happens. In fact, let's do that now. Let's go over and have a look at the GC. Here we go. And this has got the time gaps in as well. So I'm hopefully, well, I'm really hoping that this is all working tonight. We've had some issues this week with the graphics on screen, but I'm really hoping that they're fixed. And it does. I'm checking on a separate laptop now, and it does look like you're seeing what I'm seeing, which is John Beams in position number 1 with a total time of 7 hours and 16 minutes 4 seconds. And you can see Daniel in second place at 7:26. Now, Daniel needs to be careful. I know he's sort of like taking a step back now because he realizes that he's not going to catch John Beam. So, like today, he's sort of like racing 2 races and taking it easy in stage 9. But supposing Jonathan Stevens puts in a stormer tonight, that gap between second and third could come down significantly. If Daniel hasn't put in, if Daniel loses, shall we say, 12 minutes tonight, which is more than possible, given this caliber of Jonathan Stevens, you never know what can happen. So he needs to be careful he doesn't give away too much time. The gap at the moment, as you can see, is 10 minutes and 17 seconds. Now, I mean, I admire Daniel for the way he's conducted himself in this tour. You know, he took the first 3 stages, and then when John decided, okay, I'm going to try for this tour in the second half, he just obliterated Daniel, and that's no disrespect to Daniel. John has just been head and shoulders above any other rider in the tour, even though he hasn't won every stage. He's just done what he's had to do and taken time every single stage. And that's what a true champion does. A true champion doesn't have to win every stage, just has to know when to win and how to win. And Jonathan's done that. But we can't dismiss the riders coming up behind them. I mean, as well as Daniel putting in a sterling performance, Jonathan, obviously in third place, has ridden a wonderful tour. But so has Rusinek, Jojo, or Jacques, as his real name is. Jojo Rusinek has really put in a stellar effort to get his fourth place. But it's in danger because Wouter, who for my mind has been one of the men of the tour, I've been following him quite closely, and Wouter is like clawed back 1 or 2 places here and there that he could very easily have lost just through sheer guts and determination. And it's been pretty impressive to watch. I followed every single stage of this tour and watched him closely, and yeah, he's an amazing character. And then you've got Lee Marshall. I mean, Lee put in a really good effort yesterday on the stage, but he's still trailing Wouter by 6 minutes, and that's, well, a bit less than 6 minutes, but that's going to take some catching as well. And you've got Peter Brook-Varvel a couple of minutes behind Lee. So, and Timo's not out of it. Timo Achen's not out of it. I would say that Niels Sonderg, although he's putting in good performances, and in fact he finished 4th in the earlier running today with a 1:13, but that's not going to lift him up, I think, if Timo puts in a good ride tonight. So I don't see Niels catching Timo in this graphic, and that's basically going to be a top 10, although 10th place is open. You've got 3 riders, and it could be any one of these 3 riders: Andy Gray, Johan Suhard, and Barbara Herrera are all within 3 minutes of each other. So that could well swap around, on these 2 final stages, because they are hard. And obviously involve more and more climbing. We're not going to forget the ladies. So if you look further down the list, just after the 3-hour rider Gabe, you've got Alyssa Ellis, and she's out in front of the ladies by a good margin. And I'll be honest, I think unless she falls off a bike somewhere, she's not going to relinquish this tour podium for the ladies. She's what is she, 17 minutes 27 minutes ahead of her nearest rival, who's Linda Yinder, and then Linda Yinder is well in front of Anne Y. So really the 1, 2, 3 in the ladies is over and done with. But the real shame is the fact that a lot of really good, strong ladies have only ridden a few stages of this tour, and I really hope they come on board and start realizing that if they were to ride a full tour, they'd probably have a good shout at taking the overall women's prize. Okay, so let's have a look and see what happened in stage 8. We'll look at the results. Now, I covered it yesterday, but I wasn't able to, as those of you that have watched my broadcast, it's up on my channel. You realise that there was a few things went on yesterday, not least of all the doorbell going and me having to leave, and I was downstairs with the postman for a good sort of like 3 or 4 minutes. And then obviously I had to go and pick up my daughters from school, so I left the broadcast running. Now I left it looking at Lee, who I thought was going to win the the stage, and I made a mistake. Lee didn't win the stage, so we're just going to go to the results, and I'm going to show you exactly what happened there, because I was sadly mistaken. Here we go. Here's the men's podium coming up for you, and oh, sorry, this is the later running. This isn't the lunchtime running. I wonder if, just while you're looking at this podium, I'll tell you what I'm going to do, folks. I'm going to see if I can't, on RGTDB, I'm going to see if I can't pull up the lunchtime running of the results from yesterday. So let's go to results, and just bear with me while I have a quick look and see if I can pull up yesterday's lunchtime running. So we're looking at probably page 4. We're probably looking at, there's the 7 o'clock running. Where's the, come on, find it. No, it'll be page 3 then. Okay, there we go. Yeah, basically what happened yesterday, folks, and I'm going to try and pull this up for you. So let's just take this graphic off screen and see if we can't get the website. There we go. We got the website link working again. Transition across for you. Keep an eye on the time. Make sure I don't miss the start of the race. But you can clearly see on screen now, folks, that Niels Sonderg took the win. And he actually he finished what, about a minute and a half in front of Lee. Now I watched the replay of my coverage, and I watched where Niels rode away from Lee. So sadly I didn't catch Niels going over the line, and I apologise for that, Niels. I thought if I stuck with Lee, you'd finish close enough together so that I got the both of you, because it was a tight battle between 3 riders. The top 3, Niels, Lee and Andy Gray, as you can see by the graphic. But it was a good race, I'll be honest. I really enjoyed covering it, and I was sad that I had to go away, and I had 2 daughters to pick up yesterday, so I couldn't even get back for the finish. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. But and I'll take that off screen now. But the GC in the evening, obviously in the evening running of the event, you can see here that sorry, that's the GC, that's not the men's podium. The men's podium, back up on screen for you. You can see that Nicolas Goulot once again took his 2nd win, with Sylvain taking 2nd. So 2 Frenchmen finished in front of John. But I think last night John realised that he wasn't going to catch them and just settled in. And he settled in knowing that he was well in front of Daniel Cadiz, and he took another 2 minutes out of him actually. So John did what he had to do last night. Some clever riding. He paced off Nicolas Goulot and Sylvain Sylvain in the earlier part of the race. So he did a really good ride. Sorry, let's take that off screen. There we go. And then we've got the ladies podium. And this is what I mean about, I just wish that these 2 ladies, Savarine and Jo, and in particular Jo Dose, she's been absolutely storming up the climbs. She's a very, very strong ladies rider. She reminds me a lot of Kate. And I really wish that she'd ridden the full tour, because I'm pretty sure she'd have been fighting for top spot. Savarine is also a very strong rider, and I'd like to see more of her riding these events as well in the future. And of course, you can't dismiss Alyssa. I mean, Alyssa Ellis is always there or thereabouts, and she's currently leading the tour from the ladies' point of view. So you can't take that away from her. Amazing performances by all the ladies. Okay, let's And then what we got? See what other news have we got to report on? I think that's about it for now. What time have we got? 18:48. So it's almost time to go across. You can see that the general classification hasn't changed much in that we still have the same top three as we had before yesterday's stage, and we still have the three ladies in the same positions. But that's only because, as I've just mentioned, other ladies haven't ridden more stages. Now, today, I don't see any big changes either in the GC, other than time being gained and lost by some riders. But I don't see any of the positions really changing today, unless we see some, what I would call, extraordinary performances. But we're going to know soon enough. We've got another 11 minutes to go now before the start of the race. So I'm going to head over there very shortly to make sure. In fact, I actually need to fire up the software and make sure that we can get in. So I'll do that now while I'm still talking. I'll just fire up RGT and we'll run that in the background. And the other great news to tell you about, folks, is that what we've decided to do is on Saturday, we're going to have a bit of a highlights show. I'm going to be doing a live broadcast, where we do the spinning wheel live on air for the winner of the £252 prize. Now, there's currently 25 riders in it, I believe. So we'll confirm the list of riders after tomorrow evening stage, which I'm not covering, but I will be watching. And once the stage is over, we'll confirm the final placings for the people that are going into the draw. And then on Saturday, we're going to have the live broadcast in the afternoon. And more details about this later. I'll give you full details tomorrow night. Tomorrow lunchtime, possibly. Anyway, I'll give you more details tomorrow, and I'll make a broadcast detailing when and what is happening. But basically, we've got a few guests coming along. We're going to have the winner of the overall tour as a guest on the program. I'm sure James will do a small stint. I'm sure Paul Nichols will also help me out and speak about the tour courses and a little bit about his thinking behind making possibly the hardest virtual tour anybody's done on the e-platforms. So yeah, it should be a good show, and I for one am quite looking forward to it going out. But there's an awful lot of news going to be in it, so please consider subscribing to the channel and not missing it. We're going to be announcing not just our tours. We're going to be announcing the Moonrider tour, the Dubai tour, the SDW happenings that are going on at the moment. So there's a lot to get through, and if you're an organizer and you've got anything you want to add to the program, because it will get quite a good audience, fire a message along to James Ogilvie, to Paul Nichols, or to myself on Facebook, and we'll liaise with you and get you on the show. Okay, on that note, folks, RGT has fired up, so I'm going to see if we can't join the event. Let's have a look, and then we'll go live on screen. Okay, where are we? Always a bit nervous when I do this, because this phone can sometimes be very, very. Where are we? There it is. that it's going to let me join. But it looks like, yeah, there it is. It's on screen. And let's see. If I go live, you should be able to see. There we go. You should be able to see me transition over. And you can see it building, hopefully building. It's not happening. Oh, it's loading. There we go. Like I say, this for maybe I'm just yeah, I'm just a little bit too nervous at this point, but I always do whenever it's doing this bit, whenever it's building the magic road and I'm getting ready to join the event. I'm always pretty nervous. Maybe I shouldn't be, but yeah, so let's send that over to the did we have, yes, we did. We had a look at the profile, didn't we? So you're going to see it on the bottom of the screen now. There you go. You can see that the first third is almost pan flat before the climbing starts. So let's see what Mr. Nichols has got in store for us when it comes to the climbing. You can see the deep red sections. Looks really, really appealing. But let's swing around and see who's... Okay, here we are. Swing around and see who's on the start line. What have we got? I can see Wouter. I can see Shields, Herrera, Shackleton. Yeah. Isafor, I haven't seen him for a while. Nice to see him back riding. And what we got? We got 33 riders at the moment, and we got 5 minutes before the race starts. Now, you know the format, folks. Obviously, I'm not showing my studio camera because I want you to be able to see the profile and the graphics down at the bottom corner of the screen. And I can't find a decent place to put myself other than down there. So I've decided to leave myself off the screen at the moment and give the actual race footage full screen processing. Looks really nice. The again, the graphics are really nice on these OTR events. And just look at all the flags and the ZMS next level streams and everything. And by the way, they're not able to cover tonight because they're covering the Proximus cycling event, which is a really, really professional type event for ZMS. So I'm left to cover this one live as I'm doing now, and I'm going to stay with the action all the way through, and every single rider, doesn't matter how long they take, will get covered coming into the finish. As soon as I get the race underway, because it's this flat section, I'm going to be putting alarms into my phone to make sure that we get all the riders and that I don't get kicked out of the software. So I'm going to jump on the bike when it gets down to about 20 seconds, turn the pedals, make sure that I'm registered, and then we'll get back to the front of the race and commentary. It's nice to see a 3R rider, my old team, finally come into the lineup. But I really think with a team as big as 3R, and I say that and they get a second one. So good, well done, mates, well done. Nice to see. You can see the Team Blue riders. We've got at least a couple of those. The Moon Riders seem to be one of the bigger teams taking part, along with OTR. OTR always put in a good presence. Obviously, that's my team, and I think Moon Riders, they're probably the two biggest teams in this tour. But I'm learning a lot about the different teams on RGT through tours like this because I'm still relatively new to it, and I'm still learning the riders' names and everything else. So this is a great learning curve for me. And tonight should be exciting because we've got a few of the places lower down, like from 4th to 9th, is up for grabs because the positions can change. Certainly on a day like today and tomorrow, there's only a few minutes between some of the riders, so positions can swap around, and that makes for exciting racing. See what happens. And another 3-hour rider. Well done, team. They must be listening to me because it's something which I've mentioned. In the early parts of this tour, we only saw the one rider. Now we're getting a few, so nice to see. Nice to see John Stevens on the line saying good evening. John's in 3rd place and he's relatively safe, providing he can put in decent performances in these last 2 stages. And he could even catch Daniel if he really has a stormer tonight, and Daniel eases off tomorrow as well. So we'll see. Everything to play for. Good luck, everybody. I'm gonna just jump on the bike now, and then, as I say, we'll start the commentary. So let's get them off the line. Let's see what's happening. Here we go. Registering on my phone, which it is. 10 seconds. Hi. Oh. Get out of breath, right? Just get over the line. There we go. Be able to breathe for the next 5 minutes. Okay, so that's me, as you can see, off the line. But there we go. Riders out in front now. John Beams once again pushing off the front. Peter Brook-Wavel, he pushed off yesterday and he's doing the same today. Expect the riders to stay together here. This is a long section. All right, it's going slightly uphill, but you can't really... Oh, who's that running off the front? Gavash. Okay, I don't know this rider, but wow, he's putting in some watts here. The dirt riders. John Beams following him with 8.3. So not wanting to let him get away. Now that's interesting. I'll be honest, I would have thought they would have stayed together as a group, taken it easy off the start. But they're having none of it. I mean, let's just whiz the camera around and have a look what's happening behind him. Come on. There we go. Look, 2 riders, John Beams. Unless they've pre-planned this. I mean, John doesn't need to do this. This is crazy. I mean, it's good racing, but it's crazy. He doesn't need to do this. He's already Tour winner elect. Why is he doing this? It can only be pride. That's all I can say. Unless they've predetermined they're going to do this. Which, don't get me wrong, this could well be the plan. I mean, they could have planned to ride together. Okay, guys, we're going to get off the front. We're going to ride together. We're going to do each other's wheels like they're doing at the moment. And we're gone. Nobody's going to catch us. I mean, this is just insane. It makes for exciting racing, that's for sure, but it's insane. They don't need to do this. Does John want another stage win? I mean, he's already proved his... He blows me away, really. And I know I gush about John, but seriously, the way he's conducted himself in this tour has been nothing short of amazing. Because Daniel Cadiz took the first three stages, and we thought, that Daniel was going to dominate the tour. Well, you would, wouldn't you? I mean, he took the first three opening stages and didn't really look like he was going to get challenged. And then all of a sudden, stage four, and John just like hit him with a hammer, took the stage, and then the level pegging in terms of stages won. So perhaps John just wants another one. I don't. I have a sneaky feeling that these two have planned this. That this isn't just okay. Gav is going to jump off the front and John's going to get on his wheel. I have a feeling they've planned this. Could be wrong. Maybe John will tell it. What I'm hoping is because John is the tour winner elect, so to speak. It's his to lose now. He's so far in front. I've invited John to come on the show on Saturday. So hopefully he's listening to me now. I know his wife watches the show. So hopefully he's listening to me, or at least he's on the ZMS broadcast. And you tell us exactly what was going on here, because this would be nice to know. Was it pre-planned, or was it just okay? If I do off the front, I've got to chase, I've got to go. Anyway, we're going to leave these two for the time being because I don't see this changing. I mean, look, they're going to ride together at least for a little while. Let's catch up with the rest of the race and see what's happening. It's only fair thing to do. Although I'd like to stay with these two just because I find this so amusing. Anyway, let's get back. Vitorino in no man's land between them. He's 300 meters behind, and then oh no, he's gonna get caught. You could just see. In fact, that's an interesting look. Let's follow Vitorino with the group chasing and watch them catch him. So he's got 40 meters on them, but they're storming. They're gonna catch him. He's holding them at the moment. Well done. But this is yeah. There's no way that he can hold. I don't think anyway. There's no way he can hold off a big group like that. Surely. In fact, how are they doing in terms of the two riders up front? I mean, you can see the red figures showing on screen. So the front of the group are pushing big watts to try and pull back Vitorino. And in fact, this next rider, Miro, he's sort of like broken away from the main group to catch Vitorino. Now, what's going to happen here? Let's have a look. Is Vitorino going to try and get on his wheel? No, he's gone straight past. Now, I've not seen this Miro before, so I don't know his caliber. Don't know anything about him. No heart rate. Now, I'm not going to go there. But riders should wear a heart rate if they're vying for a podium spot in a race like this. I hate to see riders without heart rate monitors when they're influencing the podium spots in such a high profile race. You can see that Gav Ash's heart rate is 163, which is like would have thought probably his tempo pace, maybe high end. John's heart rate is pretty low, but that's because he's drafting. Goes to the front, you'll see it come up. Go back and find out what's happening here. So Vitorino and Miro are riding together with the group 20 metres behind, but this is all going to come back together, and that doesn't surprise me at all. But it looks like John Beams and Gavash have gone. They're 500 metres already now, so I think they've gone. I don't see them, and you know, if they can get to the climb with 300 or 400 metres, they've definitely gone. So as we see Harris, who we've watched before, jump off the front. But to be honest, I think this is silly tactics. That's just my opinion. But what's he doing? He's not going to go anywhere. He's not going to catch the guys in front. He might just as well save his energy and stay with this group. I don't see the point in anybody from this group at the moment jumping off the front. There's just no sense in it because they're not going anywhere. The time to attack is when when you hit the climb. Okay, let's and this is obviously is the third group on the road. So we've got Paul Nichols, Cruella, we've got Doyle, Hayes, Brody. Who else we got in here? Shillabeer, the 3-hour rider Gabe. We've got an initial now. Previously it's just been Gabe. Now we've got an S. I need to find out what the S is. Anybody wants to message on screen? Let me know what the S stands for. And Evan Oystenson is in this group as well. Okay, let's see if there's anybody behind this group then. Yep, we've got a couple of riders. Or are these? Yeah, these riders are about 400 meters behind. So you got Shields, Shackleton, and Andy have been dropped, and then a further 400 meters behind those 3 riders, you got Mateus. No, sorry, 100 meters behind. Looking at the wrong graphic. These are the guys that are 300 meters even further. So as we're working his way back, we've got 43 riders online. Ross Bates and Alyssa Ellis. Alyssa's struggling here. I mean, this is a hard pace on the flat. She's more of a climber, is Alyssa. So she's going to shine once we get to the climb. But she struggles to hold the power of the big guys on the flat, which you would expect. Although she's doing well staying in the wheels. As we look at Ramirez, Nonono, and Elliott bringing up the rear placings, and then I think poor old Anne is last lady on the road, and Lantern Rouge at the moment. But again, she'll probably pull back some time on the climb. Well, let's go back to the front, and we've got John Beams and Gavash. Like I say, I'm not convinced that these two didn't pre-plan this. I hope John gives us an amusing anecdote on Saturday when we do the roundup show. And you can see his heart. I think maybe his heart rate monitor was glitching earlier because it looks to be working correctly now. This is about the heart rate I would expect to see at this point. He's drafting. It did seem ridiculously low earlier. So yeah, you would expect something because we've seen John's heart rate absolutely going to the 180s, the high 180s, when he's on the hill pushing out the big watts. So while he's drafting, this is about right. And you can see Gav Ash's heart rate, so he's obviously working hard as well. Nice to see. As we catch up with Sweeney leading the group out. With Wouter leading the group out as well. Wouters. One of my favourite riders to watch, to be honest. I really enjoy watching him ride. Very entertaining. Never know what he's going to do, but one thing you can be sure of, he never gives up. He claws for every single place, which is pretty exciting to watch. Lee Marshall there you just saw as well, so he'll be wanting to put in a good effort this time. But this group are not going to splinter. I wouldn't expect them to stay together. As we see Gavash take a 4 meter gap over John. Oh no, John's just easing onto his wheel. With the crowd chasing on behind, but they're not going to get even close to the guys up front. In fact, what is it now? It's gone out to 750 meters, hasn't it? Yeah, 762. So these two riders are they're just riding away with it. And we'll find out whether these two plan to work together on this next section, because if John just rides away, or Gav just rides away. Now the true climbers should pull back some of this lead. Would have thought. 640 meters at the moment. Let's see whether any one of these riders can zoom out a little bit to the action. And see, therein lies the problem with this. One of the reasons why sometimes I wish they'd use, this is the European skin, and I wish they'd use the original skin, because there's less trees and it's a lot easier to do commentary on. This one, especially with the roads twisting like this, it gets a little bit difficult to do commentary on because of all the trees when you're zooming in and out, which I like to do. So generally what I tend to do is just leave the camera in one view on this skin, but on the other skin I spend more time swinging the cameras around because I have less trees to get in my way. This is good riding by the group, facing off each other. And they are putting in a decent amount of work and effort here. If you look, 5 watt kilos, not to be sniffed at. Work his way through this group and see who they've managed to drop off the back. Got Herrera at the back at the moment. Yeah, they've managed to drop Harest, and who's that behind him? Noble, Steve Noble. I know Steve very well, actually. Good rider. We have a couple of riders short way behind, Math and Green. I don't know, I've not seen this rider before, I don't think. Wearing the GBR jersey. Looks like they're catching the 3R rider, so maybe they'll come together. Rain falling. More like hailstone. Vittorino now, did you remember Vittorino was one of the riders pushing off the front earlier on? So is he paying for his effort now, or has he had an issue? OTR rider 80 is catching him. He is. We got Panet, the Frenchman. There is. overtaken by Graham. No doubt he will go straight past. Settling for getting on the wheel. No, settling for getting on. There's Evan Oystenston catching Hayes. Again, just happy to get on the wheel. You're not going to get much. You're going to save a few watts, but you're not going to get much benefit from drafting on a 6% slope. A little bit. I think it's more about finding your own pace, your own cadence. We watch Brody trying to join that little group. I mean, they do well to try and stay together and pace off each other, but when you're climbing, you get into your own rhythm, and sometimes trying to keep somebody else's pace is just not good for you. It throws out your own natural rhythm of climbing. Starts to get steeper again. Look, there's the third 3-hour rider, Gabe. Now he's ridden quite a few of these. I don't know whether he's ridden them all. I don't think he has, but he's certainly ridden a good number of the stages. So hopefully, if he's ridden them all, he can go in the prize draw. Philibert pulling back. Paul Nichols. Dermot Doyle. Only how often you see those two riders riding together, Shields and Shackleton. So they must be very similar in ability, because we often see them riding alongside each other. Certainly in the middle sections of group. Pierce is going to pace them a bit. Andy's going wanting to join them. Team Lou ride. 36th place Posso. So you can see what I was saying about Alyssa. Alyssa has pulled back a place or two now that we're on the climb, and expected to climb a little higher, I would have thought. Miras. Steve Elliott. And Anwai in up the rear. Now I expect Anne to catch at least Steve and probably Ramirez as well. She'll be chasing Alyssa Ellis, 3 riders in front, so we'll see what happens there as we go back to the front of the race. And we can see that John has decided to take the stage. He's left behind Gavash, and I'll be honest, I don't see Gavash closing this gap. I think this is it. But let's see if we can't spin. I mean, in these woody trees, we might be able to spin the camera around, see if we can see Gavash. We go on the road, and we can't even see him on the road. Oh, we can, just coming round the bend. So Gavash can see John, but it's 66 meters. So we'll keep an eye on that gap. But we're coming to the steeper part of this climb now, and that I think will suit John's power, as he is doing. Look, no sooner do I say what's going to suit John as it gets steeper, and already he's opening the gap. Very powerful rider. putting out good wattage here as well. 4.7 watt, 4.8 watt kilos. Yeah. You can see now, in the reason I turned the camera around is you can see Gavache behind him, but he's losing ground all the time. This is very quickly going to climb to 100 meters. That's too much to ask any rider to bring back at this stage anyway. Unless John eases up, and I just don't see him doing that. I think he's too committed. He gives 100% every race he goes into. He doesn't seem to like the idea of, okay, I can just sit back now. It doesn't seem to be his style. Pretty amazing, right? Go back to Gavache. Go. And who's well, there isn't. I was going to say who's in third place, but there isn't a third place because this little trio, I'm saying there's 10 of them here. This little group are just, they're just wanting to all stay together, aren't they? So the pacing off each other, all give or take, doing about 4.6, 4.8 watt kilos. So they're putting in big efforts. 9.2%. So yeah. And you can see, folks, from the dots on the bottom of the screen. Now, the white paddle that you can see, the larger of the white dots, we call that the paddle. That indicates the current rider being shown by the camera view. So if I were to, I'll show you how it works. If I go to the front of the field, there, look, John Beams, you could see that the white paddle changed. And if I tag down now to the next rider, you can see it changes to the second rider. They're just going under the halfway banner, as you saw there. So the group following on behind, you'll see approaching the banner in a moment. But you can see the paddle. Every time I hit the button, the paddle changes by one rider. And that's how we get down through the field. But it's also how I know where riders are on the road. So I can keep an eye on what's happening in front, the two riders in front, simply by looking at the two dots. And when a big enough gap appears between them two, you know that the gap is opened up. But already you can see the gap from the two to the paddle is quite significant. And the gap of the two riders, I mean, you can see it opening up and then closing up, opening up and closing up. That's just the way it works, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's what's happening in real time. Like, for example, if we go to the front, you can see that Gavache is not getting closer to John at all. In fact, he's losing ground, 120 meters behind. So yeah, that doesn't tell the full story, but it, using the paddle does give me the ability to be able to watch like what's going on behind, but still keep an eye on other parts of the race. Like I can see clearly who's in last place at the moment because they're a good way behind the dots in front. Miro has decided he's had enough of riding with the group and he's going to try and make up a little bit of a gap, but he's 34 meters in front going under the halfway banner. Out chasing and the group. But there's the really interesting part about this group here that are staying together is that most of these people that are staying together in this group, and I'll just name them for you: Wouter Klaas, Rusinek Jojo, Timo Achem, Peter Brook-Wavel, Lee Marshall, Keith OTR, and John Stevens. They're all fighting for their positions. I mean, John Stevens really needs to be out in front of this group. He needs to leave them behind because he's in third place. And while he's got a good gap on fourth, he can't take it for granted because he's got some good riders amongst this lot here. So So he needs to be mindful, and I genuinely thought if John had anything left, he would have really gone balls out tonight and tried to close the gap, tried to make time up on Daniel, who took it relatively easy in this stage today, the earlier running. So, I mean, I could be reading it wrong, but that was my take. But the reason these riders are probably staying together is they're probably trying to keep an eye on each other and going to wait until later on in the climbing before they attack each other. And they will attack each other, trust me. They're not going to stay together like this because they're fighting for the places and there's only minutes between them. So they're going to have a scrap, but they've decided not at this early stage. And that's going to make for some exciting racing a bit later on. I don't think they're worried about Miro in front of them because he's nowhere on classification. He hasn't done enough stages. In fact, this is the first time I think I've seen him, so might be the second. But certainly he's not on general classification. Whereas these, I mean, look at this, all wearing the cancer jerseys, which is very, very close to my heart. So let's zoom in and show you the above and beyond cancer. That's the one. Yeah. Basically supporting the cancer. I mean, the Moon Riders, riders, but that's the jersey that they. Does it say Moon Rider on the back side? Above and beyond again. You know, I've gone and forgotten to do, folks. Unforgivable. But it happens. I'm just so tired at the moment. Doing so many things. But I said I was going to do it and I didn't do it. I said I was going to set the alarm while they were on the flat section. Got so excited with John jumping off the front. And following the action, I just expected the group to stay together. And I didn't set the alarms. So I'm kicked from the ride. One day RGT, I mean, I'm not blaming RGT, it's my fault. One day they'll give me a commentator mode where I don't have, won't happen. But that's it, folks. I've screwed up once again. So let's just say goodnight. Thanks for watching. It means I can go and join my children. Yeah, I apologise. What more can I say? I've screwed up again. So I'm a bit well, not a bit. I'm a lot disappointed. This shouldn't be happening, but it does. It's down to a busy lifestyle, and everything's last minute here at home. St. Martin here in the Netherlands for the kids, so we got kids ringing the doorbell asking for sweets and singing songs to us. Pretty nice. But I'm not making excuses. This shouldn't happen at this level now. I'm going to beat myself up about it and apologise, and I'll see you in tomorrow's broadcast. Take care, everybody. Thanks for watching. I'm still going to ask you to like and subscribe, despite the fact that I've really royally screwed up. I am trying. This doesn't happen deliberately, I can assure you. So, yeah, take care, everybody. Stay safe, and we'll see you tomorrow.